she did the blunt of the work, right? Let's be honest. I was kind of like the sous chef of the yard.
The blunt of the work?
Yeah.
The brunt.
The brunt.
I think you said blunt.
I definitely said blunt.
Yeah.
What am I thinking, man?
No, it's all right. That sounds like something we could do after the show.
Just going to say, I think I got other things in my mind right now.
Blunts and bourbon. That could be another podcast. Yo, 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 it is just fantastic to have you with us for another pour. I'm Ryan O'Leary.
And I'm Mike Zika.
That's right, just like the virus. And this is the Bourbon Playbook.
It's another podcast in the basement.
Never gets old, man.
It never does. No, it doesn't. Actually, Zika, this week we might as well call it the Barrell Bourbon Playbook, right? Because you've got a store pick here that I know you're fired up about because you've been talking about it for weeks. Okay, so you've been behind the scenes, not on the pod, but you've been talking about it for weeks. What did you bring with you to the basement this week?
Yeah, this week it's something special. It's one of my favorite store picks that I've personally ever come across, and it is Barrell Bourbon Single Barrel, selected by Top Value Liquors.
Barrell Bourbon.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I mean,
isn't it?
it's like, kind of like the Michael Scott Paper Company, right? Like they didn't spend a lot of time thinking up that name.
If tomorrow my company goes under, I will just start another paper company, and then another, and another, and another. I have no shortage of company names.
Michael.
That's one of them. Yes.
Straightforward. It's an all business kind of bourbon, right? All business. Not a lot of fluff on this label, but it's just saying, hey, we got some good brown juice in here. Give it a try. Not something that's going to like maybe catch your eye in an aisle. So is this something that you said it was a store pick? So you pulled this off a shelf locally?
Correct, yeah. And there's a lot of store picks by Barrell in general. That's kind of their big thing, is getting into the blending game and having specific store picks that are allocated towards specific stores. So store picks like this, they come and go. You're never going to get the same one ever. So it's just a very unique flavor profile that I'm excited to dive into with you, man.
Yeah, man. I'm stoked to dive into this one. This one, you've been talking it up, so the hype is real. Hopefully, it's not hogwash.
We'll see.
Okay,
we'll see.
We will find out. You're listening to episode 23 of the pod, which is being recorded on April the 23rd, the NFL Draft Eve.
Ooh.
We'll talk NFL Draft next week.
Yeah, we'll save it.
We're gonna tease that one. We're also 2 days after my 40th birthday. So I need pours for all kind of reasons, but why don't you pour it out, Zika? What do you got?
We'll save the drama for another time, but
Yeah.
This week it's definitely the we're pouring it out to, and something pretty simple, something that maybe when you're at the age of 40, you might enjoy a little bit more. Like me, 35, I'm a big edging guy, right? I love to make my front yard, look crisp and clean.
You're the edger on this side of the block. When I first moved here, I'm like, who's this dude with the man bun just edging his driveway all the time? I was like feeling a little insecure. I'm like, I don't know if I can maintain my lawn like that. Like he's really, really strict about that grass growing to the driveway.
Yeah, who's the lesbian with a beard that's obsessed with his lawn is basically what you're saying.
I wasn't thinking lesbian. I was like, boy, that's a good looking man across the street.
I mean, he's got something going for him. That's about it.
Yeah.
But no, that's something that I enjoy, the 18 square feet that I have, so I might as well do something with it.
Yeah.
But no, this past week, obviously Easter Sunday, I was working at the pub, but didn't have time to visit the family. So instead, we tried to finish things up around the house, and it was a backyard battle and aftermath of like literally winter and dog pee. It's truly like yellow acid patches and like
tough.
Landmines all over the place. Yeah. Right. So as soon as I let the pups out, Remy she's a loose cannon. She rules the roost. Right. Yeah. Like she's a lost cause at this point. Right. Yeah. She's senile and, definitely the alpha.
As long as she's not leaving the Tootsie Rolls in the house, she can be wherever she wants.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. And plus her bladder's the size of a walnut. So I'm not too worried.
Yeah.
But Rosie definitely packs a punch, and she goes in kind of the same area all the time. So that's why I'm slowly training her to pee on the mulch. And like, for instance, tonight before I came over, I was like, Rosie, come. And then she'd come over and I'd point at the mulch, and then she'd like sit there and look at me, and I'd be like, go potty. And then she'd run out to the grass, and I'd be like, no, Rosie, come back. And she'd come, and they'd be like, go potty. And I'd point at the ground. She'd look at the ground, look at me, and then go potty. Yeah. So it was just this like revolving. Yeah. It's going to take some work, but she's a smart pup. She is. It'll probably take a couple days, maybe a week or two, but we'll get it done. But in the meantime, so my wife she's very on top of everything. And when it comes to like organizing our schedule and our time, she's usually spot on, right? Whether it's like, Mike, you should probably start getting ready for the dinner date that we're about to go on. It takes you about a half hour, to shower, pick out your outfit, and, do the whole 9.
Is this why you waved to me and said you couldn't talk because you were running late the other day when I saw you in the driveway?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Go on.
I was like,
Lizzie was right again.
I can't remember what I was saying to you, but Lizzie's like, get your ass in the car.
Yeah, no chatter. No.
And I was like, all right, peace.
No neighborhood chat time now.
Yeah, no, not at all. But yeah, so at this point, we went to Home Depot, did the whole Home Depot thing.
Well, actually, pretty nice little Saturday. We're gonna go to Home Depot. Yeah, buy some wallpaper, maybe get some flooring, stuff like that. Maybe Bed Bath & Beyond. I don't know if we'll have enough time.
Got the fertilizer, got the seed, got the puppy patch spray, all the stuff, and our goal was to basically be done by noon. And we started at 10. Noon hits and we're like a fourth of the way done, right? So what we did is we basically, Liz kind of got on her hands and knees and she started digging up like all the really bad acid patches, while I just kind of like fluffed the entire lawn up with like a rake, right? Almost kind of dethatch
it. You were fluffing. So I mean,
I was busy fluffing. I was doing, I was taking all that dead grass, filling it in the bag.
Thank God she has such a manly guy.
Lifting all the heavy bags of soil and fertilizer, and I had to get that fertilizer ready and make sure the adjustment was correct.
Sounds extremely manly.
Oh, dude, so masculine. It was obnoxious. So yeah, we dethatched, reseeded everything. Eventually, we got to the end and it was like 3:00. This took us like 5 hours.
Yeah, that checks out.
Yeah. So, man, just by the end of that, you're wiped. It's crazy how much yard work you can do. And you're like in such a small plot of land. And by the end of it, I'm like, wow, there's my entire Sunday. Like that sucked, And that was the time when I took a step back and I'm like, man, look at this shitty lawn. It looks like ass. I need a bourbon.
That was brand new like a year ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Brand new.
But the dogs will do that, man.
Well, dope, dude. Enough about my
That's a good pour. Yeah.
Potty patches and backyard battles with my landmines. 40 years old. Yeah. Wow, you made it, man.
Yeah, fuck your dog's
you
pee,
made
okay?
It.
Like I'm 40, I'm over the hill. I'd pour one out for me. Not the dog pee, all right? I need this. I need this more than anything. I feel like I'm hosed, right? I don't feel like I'm making it to 90. This is the half-life. If that, maybe I've already been past the half-life. Who knows? But I'm definitely at the halfway point now. And I just feel like I kind of need a pep talk, right? Like 40s, everyone will tell you, 40's just a number. Well, 40's just a number until it's your number, until that shit's attached to you, until you wake up one day and you're fucking 40. And you're like, shit. And, just for an example of what, you just turned 35.
35,
right? You young cat.
I still got a couple.
How dare you? How dare you?
Yeah.
So this is what happens when you turn 40, okay? I was washing my face the other day, which means basically I go to Katie's side of the vanity and take out whatever,
beauty product that
face
she
wash,
uses,
cream, whatever. I'm like, this looks good today. Whatever this is. So I'm rubbing that in. I'm exfoliating the forehead like a real man, unlike you back there fluffing your lawn. And all of a sudden I realize like I'm halfway up my scalp and I'm exfoliating. I'm like, wait a second, like how high is my forehead didn't used to go that high.
Got that LeBron James going on a little bit.
It's like, since when did my forehead not end? And that's not, I swear to God, yesterday I had a hairline and it was like, I turned 40 and the hairline disappeared. It was gone. It just disappeared. I don't know if maybe now I'm noticing things, but it was gone. The hairline was completely gone. I was halfway up the scalp. So people ask me, I hope you did something fun. Like, what'd you do on your 40th? Like, did you have a big celebration? I was like, no, if I wasn't home working, it was a Monday.
Yeah.
my 40th.
Tough.
If I wasn't home working, mostly on the pod, if I'm being honest, I was working on the pod that day. If I wasn't doing that, I was reading up on the hair pills that Julian Edelman talks about on his
Yes,
Instagram.
I've seen that.
Nutrafol. That might have to be a new sponsor of the podcast, unbeknownst to them. It's that to sponsor us for O'Leary. I need hair pills.
It's funny. You need hair pills and I need liver pills. So maybe both of them in tandem can sponsor us.
Well, you just do that as a precautionary
That
measure.
is true.
If I don't have my hair, I'm screwed with these eyebrows.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in big trouble.
Cut and paste, man.
It's not going to be good. So, it's just my barber is basically giving my ears their own fade at this point. Like he spends way too much. I just came back from the barber, as you could tell.
Yeah.
Got lined up for the pod.
Fresh.
Yeah. And, but he's like spending too much time on the ears. It's just like the tops and the middle. It's like, dude, can you move? I get it. Can you move on to the other side now?
Just make a quick line. Just swipe right through it, buddy.
The other day, literally on my 40th, I'm like, all right, we get little man from preschool, and I'm like, all right, we're going out to eat. Like, let's get out of the house. Let's go grab dinner. We'll do something low key. So we go to a little spot we like down the street. We take my wife's work car, and we both have our keys. Like, it was just habit. I had my keys. She had her keys. I didn't want to bring two sets of keys into the restaurant. I thought that was silly. So I just threw them in the center console of her car. Can you see where this is going?
Oh, yeah.
Tuesday morning, Katie goes to the office in Minneapolis.
Do you have 2 pair of keys?
Well, she has a set, and I have a set. One of my car keys is on her keychain. The other is in her center console. She doesn't even know it. She drives to work. I go to bring my kid to school, and I don't have the keys.
By Uber?
Yeah. I had to call the wife, and I'm like, one day after 40, I'm already doing shit like this. Like,
I'm losing it, babe.
yeah, I'm going to be putting the remote control in the freezer next. Like, this is what it's going to be. So,
Okay, dude.
I'm stressed. That's all I have to say. That's all I have for you. That's all the material I have for you, right? That's all I have prepared. I'm stressed. This week's pour is much needed. I'm feeling like a little bit of a midlife crisis. I'm sure I'll settle into this whole 40 thing, but it was not a problem at 39. At 39 was great. I was loving life. It was great. 39 felt great. As soon as I turned 40, I'm like, oh no. Oh no. The back nine is here. And I'm stressing a little bit, honestly. I need tonight's pour bad.
So 40 years old. So you're having a midlife crisis. I think this is pretty standard.
Yeah, I was even thinking about buying a Jeep. So that's pretty much what people do,
Guess
right?
what? I have one across the street available for about $800 if you're interested.
Oh, I might actually take that off your hands. I'm not even kidding. I need
Please do.
I need a, like Katie will be like, "What is this?" I'm like, "I bought Zika's Jeep, and that'll be part of my midlife crisis, and then I can put like new tires on it or something and just be ridiculous."
My favorite part is it still has the sticker on the back in all pink that says "Silly boys, Jeeps are for girls" that my old coworkers stuck on the back of it like 10 years ago to be funny, and it's still hanging out.
So is the thing going to break down or something? Or I might actually buy that from you.
180,000 miles, man. It's good for another 200,000.
2 years or 2 miles? I was going to say 2 miles or 2 years.
Flip a coin, honestly.
All right, we'll talk about the Jeep later. That could be a perfect midlife crisis gift to myself.
True, and it's fairly inexpensive compared to like a Sierra or.
Well, you said 800.
Yeah,
that's all you want.
Well, I mean, I was looking at the retail in Kelley Blue Book, and Jeep Liberties hold their value, but when it has a couple rust bucket stains on it, it's kind of tough.
Yeah, I don't know.
Give
Jeep
me like
Liberty.
$1,000 traded in.
I think I need a Wrangler.
It's definitely a soccer mom Jeep.
Yeah, a Wrangler's more of a midlife crisis car.
I'm a man. I'm 40. I'm not a kid.
But this one goes out to all the listeners out there that are over the hill, just like me.
Pour it out.
Yeah, cheers, bro. All right, Zika, back to the task at hand. As we mentioned off the top, Barrell Bourbon is the featured guest, our spotlight bourbon of the week. Let's dive into this, man. What you got?
Yeah, this top value liquor, Barrell Bourbon Single Barrel, very bold, cherry forward store pick. Definitely not playing around. So it's hailing from Barrel Craft Spirits, and this single barrel comes in at a hot 118.96 proof. 8 years of age, double gold, San Fran World Spirits Competition Blender of the Year in 2018 and 2020, and it consistently is ranking among the top independent blenders within the U.S.
History time.
History time.
Ring the bell.
I am the smartest man alive!
All right, so a little bit of bourbon story time. So from tech to tasting, so Joe Beatrice didn't actually start in the whiskey world. So it's another kind of
They never
similar
do.
story.
They
Yeah, I
never do.
know, right?
Yeah.
Outside of the main ones that you've heard of, the Jack Daniels, Wild Turkey, Maker's Mark, Woodford. Yeah, you're just basically any bourbon outside of those. It's going to be, some schmuck salesman that has too much money, that has a midlife crisis at age 40 and has a great bottle of bourbon and dives into the bourbon world.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Let's dive into that.
Let's do.
So before founding Barrel Craft Spirits in 2013, he was in marketing and tech as an entrepreneur in New York. So a longtime home brewer, Joe's pivotal moment came when he ultimately tasted whiskey straight from the barrel. So this was like a revelation for him that led him to pursue a new path in spirits rather than his longtime home brewing background.
This is going to be Zika in the bourbon trail. You're going to taste it straight out of the barrel, and you're going to quit your job. Yeah. You just start making whiskey in your bathtub, and Lizzie will be appalled.
She would love that. So kind of blending without borders, right? So this is truly like a Scotch-inspired model. So instead of building a distillery, Joe took a lot of his inspiration from Scotland's independent bottlers. So he sourced and blended different types of casks from established producers and then bottling them at cask strength. And this kind of led to the path of where we're going specifically with the Barrell Bourbon brand here. So this approach was relatively new, especially in the US when he started to do this. Like no one was doing this at the time. In 2017, enter the whiskey scientist, Trip Stimson. Joe actually brought Trip on as the chief of distilling operations and chief whiskey scientist. I don't know if those are names that are actually fictitious or if that's something that's like a LinkedIn profile.
We got Beatrice and Stimson.
It kind of sounds like an episode of The Simpsons.
I was going to say.
And give me a bottle of bourbon.
Grandpa, you know you can't have liquids after 3 p.m.
You can stir it into my mush. Either way, just gimme.
So Stimson brought a background in biochemistry and molecular biology. So Stimson had previously actually worked for Brown-Forman and helped design and build that natural Kentucky artisan type distillery, right? So he had a great background for what Joe was trying to do here. So he had an expertise in yeasting, fermentation, and just overall distillation operations, which would be truly the embarkment for Barrell's blending process. So to expand on that, we just spoke about the Scotch-inspired model of that independent blending, right, of all these exceptional casks. Well, the diverse sourcing and blending here of Barrell Spirits is actually very fascinating. So they actually source from 65 different suppliers worldwide, including Indiana, Tennessee, Kentucky, and even Poland and Canada. So in other words, so Joe's going around trying
65?
all these different, yeah. Isn't that wild?
That is crazy.
And fun fact, I couldn't find much data on it, but as of 2023, the United States has approximately 2,700 active craft distilleries, which to me sounds like a crazy number, right? We're talking distilleries. So even though there's 65 different suppliers, technically, nationwide, there's 2,700 to choose from.
Yeah.
Whether that's, Uncle Jim in his basement or, an MGP, right?
Yeah. No, that's
I don't
crazy.
know the regulation per se on that, but so in 2023, Barrell Craft Spirits actually acquired a historic rick house in Shively, Kentucky for $2.41 million. So the facility was originally a part of the old Yellowstone distillery that was built in 1940 and has ultimately changed hands multiple times. So it's 5 stories tall, 8,900 square feet, and it can store up to 17,500 barrels,
Okay.
right? So founder Joe Beatrice said that kind of moving the production facility will boost efficiency, right? I mean, that's a lot of space to keep these barrels, especially close to their headquarter blending area in Louisville. So they ultimately don't distill, but they're now aging, kind of like the big boys.
Louisville.
That
was good.
As for their distillation, no. They actually source and blend everything. And looking at their releases here of their single barrels, typically their standard releases are from $80 to about $110. And I think that's one of the big reasons why not a lot of people maybe purchase these or snag these right off the shelf, is because I feel like they sell themselves as a very premium brand. But it's like, man, before I just drop $100 on a bottle, I want to try it. Like, we already talked about this. There's nothing that fancy about this. It's got a little, gold foil, and it's kind of a cool oval looking bottle. But outside of that, it's like $80 to $110 for, a bottle of brown juice when there's so much more on the shelf. You tell me, you know what I mean?
Did it pique the interest of you and your bourbon bros just because it was fairly high price and you're like, what's up with this?
Yeah.
Sometimes the price point does catch your eye. It's like, well, okay, why are you $100?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And I'll get into that story here in a little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
But they also have premium lines, gold, gray, and vintage. And you'll see these in cases a lot at Total Wine or larger wholesalers. And I've always wanted to try them, to be honest, but they're, again, 200 to 300 plus, right? They come in like a cool case and everything sometimes, but that's the tough part. So definitely not budget friendly, but for those that have tried it and that love the brand, and especially finished bourbon, this would definitely be one that you need to check out. So this specific bottle is the Top Value Liquor Store Pick. So it's a Store Pick exclusive. It has a lot of flavor, high proof, non-chill filtered, aged and blended to perfection, in my opinion at least. So while Barrell doesn't necessarily name drop the distilleries, let's just say they might have a little DNA connection to some big name distilleries. And yes, I'm looking at you, Willett and Dickel. So blending over distilling, right? We keep talking about that. So let me expand on it. No still, no problem, right? So Barrell doesn't actually make the bourbon, they curate it.
So they have they have fucking 18,000 barrels in their warehouse or rickhouse, and they're not distilling anything.
Nothing.
They don't have any stills in there.
And they're all single barrels. Think about that. It's always cast strength. It's always non-chill filtered. And they're known for blending across different styles, states, and even barrel types, right? So we're talking rum, sherry cask, Armagnac, and so forth. The list goes on.
Non-chill filtered. That's like a new vocabulary word on the pod. I don't think I've heard of non-chill filtered. So what exactly is that process?
So I'm glad you brought that up. I know I've maybe brought that up on a previous episode or two, but yeah, let's double click into that. So there's kind of two types, right? Pretty straightforward: chill filtering and non-chill filtering. So chill filtering is a process to really remove those fatty acids and proteins from the whiskey. So they basically just chill it almost near freezing sometimes, and then pass it through like a really fine filter to remove that sediment. And the reason they do this is because the whiskey could look cloudy, and it's really the presentation side of it, right? It's almost like when you add, ice or water to it, it kind of clears it out a little bit. Mm-hmm. That's the whole reason behind it. And moving on to the non-chill filtered side of it, this is when the whiskey kind of skips that entire process altogether. So you're going to get those fatty molecules, and you're going to get that deep, rich flavor with some of that sediment still left from the barrel in your bottle of brown juice.
You're going to get a little protein.
A little bit of more protein.
That's good.
So bottom line is, Joe's always making non-chill filtered bourbon because he's not just making whiskey for the looks, right? He's making it for the palate, and that's what I truly respect about the guy.
Want to cook?
So let's dive into what we're actually sipping here. So a little bit more about the Barrell lineup. So their bourbon batches are always numbered releases. So batch 035, 036, etc. Every blend has different age statements, different mash bills, and origins. So every batch is truly a new experiment. Never repeated, and these are never boring. Trust me, there's a lot of different flavor profiles with every bottle.
And that's really what this is. They're experiments.
Exactly.
They're just blending whiskey. They're acquiring barrels and blending whiskey.
So think about how confident you have to be, like when you, or good, truly like a chemist in the lab.
Or just like the database you have to have of like, all right, here's the different mash bills, flavor profiles of thousands, tens of thousands of barrels, right? That they had in that rick house.
Correct.
And they're just mixing whiskey.
And at the end of the day, I assume what they do is they have, a little dropper that they take from each barrel. They'll drill into it, pop the cork, take a little sample, put it in a little mixer, shake it around, try it. Doesn't work. Move on to the next one, right? They're not like draining the whole barrel and just crossing their fingers. So identifying how they sell their bourbon barrels. So in addition to sourcing, Willett has also sold barrels to other brands. For instance, 2021, Willett partnered with other producers and sold off a few thousand barrels of bourbon and rye whiskey to brands like Old Kirk and Wolves, which I've personally never heard of, but this ultimately indicates that Barrell Craft Spirits may have acquired Willett barrels during this time frame. So they do have a specialty series as well, Dovetail, fantastic. I got that at my pad. You'll have to check it out. Rum finish, port, and Cabernet barrels, absolutely delicious. They have Seagrass, which is a rye, finished in apricot brandy, and different types of rum barrels. And then you have your vintage gray and gold label, which are refined blends of higher end barrels in general. So Barrell isn't just a one-trick pony show, right? It's truly like a blender's bourbon buffet. Some of these bottles are single barrels. Others are like truly mad chemists in a lab creating these batches. But either way, your taste buds are always in for a ride. And I truly stand by that. There's a lot of good ones out there. I've probably had 6 or 7 different ones. There's one that I wasn't a huge fan of. But other than that, they're super unique, always complex, always a long finish. And really we're about to find out where this one ranks.
Color me intrigued. But first we need to know, Zika, if this bottle is hype or hogwash. And in this single barrel, we are going to get reviews from this exact bourbon we're drinking tonight.
Exactly.
Okay.
The reviews are in.
Boom. Roasted.
User Bourbon Pirate 91 says, this bottle slapped me across the face with cherries, oak, and something like a hot Dr. Pepper. And hey, I liked it.
Bourbon Pirate, it kind of had me going there with the cherries and the oak. I was kind of intrigued. And then the hot Dr. Pepper, though, I'm not sure. Like, I know they liked it. I just don't know if that was hyper hogwash. I'm not sure. That one's kind of riding the fence.
Agreed.
But it seems like that's a positive review.
Yeah.
That one's hyped. Review number 2, Oak and Smoke is the username. Rich and vicious, but at 119 proof, it drinks easier than my uncle's Bud Light. So, okay, so it's an easy sip at 119 proof. That's a compliment.
Obviously, he's probably chasing this 119 proof with a Bud Light. Probably can't even feel his toes, but doesn't even care.
That's probably it. It's just a chaser.
Yeah, it's untreated diabetes at age 40, probably at this point. Moving on to user Bourbon Bro Dave. He says, it's like Willett had a love child with Barrell and raised it in a sauna.
Boom. Roasted.
Is that a compliment?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, depending if you like Willett or not. I love Willett. I love those dark cherry notes. But the fact that you're raising a child in a sauna, I just don't think that's appropriate. Plus, it sounds to me like it's going to be really hot.
Yeah, hot or like sweaty. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, am I going to be drinking sweat? Is that
sock juice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reviews are a little bit mixed, but I'd say more hype than hogwash. What do you think?
I think it's hype. I think, it depends on how you determine Bourbon Bro Dave's response, but I'll go hype.
Want to pop this open?
Let's do it.
Barrel, let's go.
On the nose.
Barrell Bourbon, single barrel, on the nose.
Mr. O'Leary, do you still have that 6th sense or did you lose it?
Yowza, still got it. That is cherry forward on the nose.
Very.
Now you mentioned cherry quite a bit. There was cherry in the reviews as well.
I rarely smell like pepper, like truly what you'd get out of like a pepper grinder, but I almost smell a little bit of pepper and possibly that tobacco, even that like if you chewed on a cigar on the golf course.
You nailed it. Touch of tobacco. So the notes say Bing cherry syrup, whatever the hell that is, warm leather.
You ever rub your leather? You know, like just rub it, see how good it feels?
Again, leather is always a tough one to pick up on the nose.
I can't pick that up ever.
Baking spice, definitely. That's probably the black pepper you're smelling. And a touch of tobacco. That's those are the notes of the nose. And I'm having a hard time catching anything outside of cherry. It's just so much cherry to me. That's all I got. All I got.
Yeah, I'm just getting like you said, a ton of cherry. I don't know what Bing cherry syrup is. I think of lean, but it's not. And then that pepper and a little bit of tobacco.
Is this what do you think about the color? Is it more dark? Is it more dense than some of the other bourbons we've cut? I mean, it's pretty, but it does feel like a little thicker.
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely, you can tell it's aged well. It's a little bit darker, but who gives a shit what it looks like?
It's the moment of truth.
It's the moment of truth. Let's do it.
Stop staring at it, O'Leary. Just drink the damn thing. I would just say bold, bold, but that's the word that's coming to my mind right away. This is a bold bourbon, right? There's
very bold.
That's a spicy meatball.
It's hot and it's hard to pick up exactly what's going on the first chew, but there's a lot going on at the same time, right?
Super complex, man.
Yeah. I just got a lot of like a tasty oak on that last sip, somewhere on the palate. And I wouldn't say it was very oaky on the nose, but on the palate, it's there.
Yeah, for me, it's a little bit sweet on the front, but it's immediately overwhelmed by that pepper, those baking spices, and then moving towards the mid, it still continues with that spice, the baking spices, but it has a really good balance with that cherry forward taste, right? And then even on the finish, it's very long, full bodied, and I can still taste a good balance of that cherry forward, that Bing quote unquote cherry syrup.
Yeah.
Along with that spice, which is something that I think you would like just based off of, the podcast and understanding your palate more. So I mean, for me, this is a fantastic pour, right? This is great. This is the combination of making a bourbon that's it's a little hot, but again, it's 118 proof. But I love that sweet finish, or something that from the front of my tongue to the mid to the back, and I can still taste that sweet, cherry forward, dark fruit finish. Along with I have no problem with the spice on the back end. That's your typical cast strength, I think, at this point.
And that's up my alley. That's my jam.
Yeah. So for me, I know they mentioned clove. Maybe I'm tasting clove compared to the baking spice or pepper. I would say that's probably more accurate, kind of that lingering clove on the finish.
We said tons of cherry on the nose, and then I don't know if it's exactly cherry on the palate that you get hit, but you get hit with that sweetness right away. It's some type of fruity hit on the tongue. And then there is spice that comes in on, it kind of chases that sweetness away, but it is not aggressive. It's kind of like a subtle, transition from the sweetness to the spice, right? It's kind of it's master blending in my mouth.
Let's go, Joe.
Joe is master blending in my mouth at the moment. It's fantastic.
No, this is not gay shit. This is man shit. You know what I mean?
It really is fantastic. Just to read the tasting notes again, I said the nose was Bing cherry syrup. We have no idea what that is, but Bing cherry syrup, warm leather, baking spice, and a touch of tobacco on the nose. Zika, you hit that tobacco note. Palate, red fruit explosion up front. Yes.
Yep.
Dark cacao. Did you catch that? I didn't catch the dark cacao.
Nope. For me, it was tobacco. I'm still tasting a little bit of that tobacco.
Okay. Dark cacao. I didn't catch that either. Pepper, you talked about black pepper right off the top.
Yep.
Toasted oak. Okay, I got a lot of oak. And then, it's just all very balanced. Finish, long and warm with lingering clove. You mentioned the clove. Cherry cola and burnt caramel. Cherry cola. So it's like a cherry soda in your mouth. So one of our reviews mentioned that, right? The Hot Dr. Pepper, right? The Hot Dr. Pepper from Bourbon Pirate. It's fantastic, man. There's a lot of flavors going on. Super well balanced, and that's what we have in our glass right here.
So kind of a side note and funny story, how I came across this bourbon. It was a couple of my bourbon buddies reached out to me, and I used to live in St. Louis Park, and Top Value Liquor was like, I don't know, 12, 15 minutes away maybe. Mm-hmm. And they texted me like, hey, this new, Barrell Store Pick dropped. Rumor has it, it's got really good reviews. They use some Willet barrels. It's a fantastic pour. Zika, would you mind, picking us up a couple bottles? And I'm like, yeah, for sure, man. So before work on like a Tuesday or Wednesday, I swing by as soon as they open. I'm like sitting in the parking lot, right? Like, fuck, open the door so I can get to work. And as soon as that happens, I go in and they're obviously stacked up, right? Like any store pick would be. So the nice thing about store picks a lot of times is they'll always have them for sample. So anytime you go into any store, Hy-Vee, Total Wine, Top Value, whatever it is, if they have a store pick, you can always try it before you buy it, basically, almost everywhere, or they should be. And so I go in and I purchase like 6 bottles for my boys, right? And the lady's like, oh, 6 bottles, nice. You must really like this. I'm like, well, it's, it's for my buddies. And, and she's like, well, do you want to try a sample? And I was like, well, fuck, it's like, 8:30 in the morning.
Heading to the office.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, fuck it. Yeah, I might as well. So she gives me a sample and I try it and I'm like, whoa, this is like nothing that I've ever tried before.
And this is this exact bottle?
This exact bottle.
Okay, go on.
So I end up going back and I snag one more bottle. And the funny thing is I check out and it's like, I don't know, $760 or whatever it is. And for some reason I put the receipt like on the table and my wife comes by and Liz is like, what is going on? And why is there a 700? And I'm like, babe, relax. Like they all Venmo'd me. It's fine. She's like, it better be, because you better not have spent like $800 on bourbon this month. And I was like, yeah, I know.
No, that was just today, honey.
Yeah, exactly.
Never mind the month. Like,
yeah.
You don't want to know the bill for the month.
Yeah. And so as soon as I purchased this one, I popped the cork and then I went home and eventually drank it like through the next week or two. And I called back and I'm like, hey, do you still have any more of those store picks? And she's like, yeah, we got one more case. So the next morning I went down and bought like 3 more. So for me to bring this over, I was kind of like, ripping my heart out a little bit because I really love it. But at the same time, definitely worth covering on the pod.
You were fired up about this one.
Oh, super.
I see why.
I've been stoked all week, man.
It's tremendous. It's good.
Yeah. So anyway, fun little story. And that's why if you ever come across a good store pick and you like it and you enjoy it, just don't forget that you might not ever come across that similar flavor profile ever again. So I highly recommend stacking the cabinet, spending a couple extra dollars to purchase those bottles. So unfortunately, we come across another undisclosed mash bill. So it is believed to be high corn, high rye recipe and possibly Willet sourced. And by possibly, I mean definitely, because what I'm tasting out of this store pick from Top Value is Willet to a T.
Do they even know the mash bill? Great question, right? They're sourcing these barrels from all over the place. They're mixing these whiskeys up like they might not even know. It might be undisclosed because they don't have a perfect like mash bill score on these.
100%. I mean, these are chemists in the lab.
Yeah.
Like, is this potassium, iron? Like, shit, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, where is it on the periodic table? Nobody knows, right?
Yeah.
But it tastes good.
Yeah.
At the end, I'm sure there's some like crazy AI database now that can organize like all of these specific barrels and mash bills. But But yeah, for the most part, I think that this is something that's very unique, and they obviously know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing behind the scenes, but they got the right recipe down.
Yeah.
And they're doing great things.
Fantastic.
Looking at the age statement, we're looking at 8 years. So again, that means every barrel that's gone into this bourbon is at least 8 years. So it could be 12 years, could be 16, could be 10, but the lowest age statement of the barrel has to be at least 8 years, which is pretty common for these Barrell Bourbon Single Barrels.
Self 5 for the big dog.
Yeah, let's rate this sucker. Okay, so our E5 scale, the Bourbon Playbook rating system. Where does Barrell Bourbon Single Barrel, the top value pick, land on the Essential 5? Those Essential 5 are the Daily Dram, Impress My Guests, the Budget Blend, the Saturday Night Sipper, and of course, the Precious Pour, a.k.a. the Elite Pour, an ode to our buddy PJ Fleck.
Row the boat, sky you mop, and go Gophers.
Elite.
The Elite Pour.
Skyuma.
Okay, so Barrell Bourbon, right off the bat, I think you actually said during the history that this is not a nice one for the budget. That pretty much knocks out 2 right away. Daily Dram and Budget Blend are gone. You agree?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. 100%.
We don't going to spend much time on that.
Board.
Yeah, we don't have to spend much time on that. This is a expensive bourbon. You know, you're looking at $80 to $100 on the MSRP. It's not going to be a Daily Dram at that price point. It's definitely not a budget blend, right? Proof point's too high, and the price is too high. So we'll move on from that. Impress My Guests. I think this one, it kind of depends on the guest. Really close friends or like bourbon group members, right?
I'm going to pass.
I'm going to pass too. That one didn't jump out. That leaves 2. It's either a Saturday Night Sipper or a Precious Pour. Let's talk about Precious Pour for a minute.
Okay.
Because I think, all right, look, I know you were excited about this bourbon. I know you were excited to cover it, but you also weren't all that excited to pour out some of it because you only have a fixed supply of it, and when it's gone, it's gone. So I'm wondering, the price point is high enough where it can almost kind of qualify for Precious Pour. I feel like 80 to 100 is still a stretch. Like that's still a little bit cheap for a Precious Pour, in my opinion, for the MSRP. But I think once the last drop is sipped, it's gone, right? You're not going to get it back. I think that can make it precious. I think Saturday Night Sipper and Precious Pour, Saturday Night Sipper is just like the next bucket down. If it's not quite a Precious Pour, it could be a Saturday Night Sipper. You know what I mean? Like these 2 kind of work in tandem. We have not had many Precious Pours on the pod though, except for I think Weller Foolproof is our only Precious Pour so far.
Right.
Does Barrell Bourbon Single Barrel rise to an elite pour for you?
I'm at a crossroads, man. So looking at Saturday Night Sipper, this specific bottle for me is something I would love to break out on a Saturday night, right? Mm-hmm. But then I look at Precious Pour.
You don't want to drink it down, though.
That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Right? When it comes to your time and your value, where does money come into the picture? What's more important to Ryan O'Leary at the age of 40 years old? 40 years.
Nothing matters anymore. I'm living loose. I'm playing with house money. I'm over the hill.
What's more important to you, time or money?
Time. Time is more important, 100%. Like, even today, it was a random warm day here in Minneapolis on a, late April, and I was just sitting in the grass with my kid, looking at the sun, I got to enjoy these moments. It's so sad, but that's where I'm at in life right now. That's part of the midlife crisis. Yeah. So definitely time.
Exactly. So for me, when I look at Saturday Night Sipper, I look at this bottle and I'm like, hey, if I could find this on the shelf, even at $100 price point, if I could find it on the shelf 7 days a week, Saturday Night Sipper, 100%. Love the complex flavor, the long finish. It's fantastic, right? This is my jam. But understanding what you just spoke about of this is something that you'll never get that same flavor profile ever again, knowing that the time that went into this bottle versus the value, for me, this falls into the precious pour section, right? So for me, this is something that's I might never come across again, right? So I know what Will It tastes like. I know the Purple Top. I know a couple of the others in the collection that are fantastic. But for the price point and when I got this is something that can never be recreated again based off of what Joe's doing with the master blending over there. Joe got the golden ticket. And I took the opportunity to jump on the occasion. And that's why I bought several bottles of this, right? So for me, the older I get, time for me is value. Value is money. So for me, I'm going with precious pour.
Yeah.
The hard part about being the standard is you are the standard.
We had a little get-together at the Zika household last weekend, kind of for both of our B-days, right? We went out to the bar, came back, went into the man cave. Your cousins were over, another one of your buddies. What's up, Kevin? Shout out to Kevin. I know he's a big fan of the podcast. He was
K-Fed, Jimmy, the whole gang.
Kevin's the man. And speaking of Kevin, he got you to open your Weller Foolproof that had been wrapped in plastic for 3 years.
3 years.
You had that on your shelf for 3 years. But Kevin got you to open it because I think, and I quote, he yelled at you, "Drink your bourbon." He yelled at you that your bourbon was on the shelf not being drank, and you were like, "Fuck it, it's my birthday. O'Leary's turned 40. Let's open this thing." And you did. You opened it up, and we drank a pretty decent part of that bottle.
Yeah, right.
And that so far has been our only precious pour on the pod. We had a sample of it though, and that was much earlier. That was our triple trifecta.
Yep,
earlier on. If folks want to go check that one out and haven't yet, earlier in the pod in the early days of the podcast. But okay, let's fast forward 5 years. You're where I am, right? You're now over the hill. You're 40. You're like, fuck, it's happening to me now. I know what O'Leary was talking about. This sucks. The ear hair is out of control.
There.
It's like
already there. I'm Dutch as fuck, dude. So it's like
I'm putting the remote control in the freezer. Like, this is what's happening. Like, I've lost my mind. Too many bourbons.
Pets' heads are falling off.
Yeah, my pets' heads are falling off. Would you need a precious pour, right? It's an occasion. It's 40. You're toasting to your.
Oh no,
you're
I don't
toasting,
like where you're going with this.
You're toasting to your midlife crisis that's upcoming. Your new Jeep that you're going to purchase. You're finally going to upgrade your fucking Jeep Liberty. Okay. Are you reaching for Barrell Bourbon or Weller Foolproof? Or are they on the same par? Because this is how I need to know if these bourbons are on the same level. I can see them being there, but I need to hear it from your own mouth.
Oh man, it's so funny because last night I was thinking, man, the only one that we've touched base on is Weller Foolproof. I'm like, God, it's so good. I get these like really unique floral notes, long finish, overall fantastic pour. Does Barrell, this specific store pick, right, from Barrell of all places, stack up against a Weller Foolproof store pick?
Like, just like a bourbon that, okay, they distill their own whiskey. Okay.
Right. There's so much lineage behind it.
It's a
Julian Van Winkle, third generation.
Not saying that Barrell Bourbon is not a brand, but like Weller's a brand, right? It's a big player in the game.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm asking the question. Like, does it stack up? Is it on par? Because if it's not on par, even though you love it, it's probably a Saturday night sipper.
Okay. You got two kids. One's straight A student. The other is flunking out, but really good at sports. And he gives a lot of recognition to dad. And the community loves him.
Latter.
Which one do you choose?
I'll take the second guy. No, just because of the compliments.
Yeah, exactly.
So I get what you're saying. So you're almost saying like this is a Saturday night sipper, but it's the queen bee of Saturday night sippers, which makes it a precious pour.
Correct.
Okay. You're riding the fence. That's fine.
I'm a fence rider.
Not as decisive as I was looking for, but that's fine. It's fantastic, man. This is an awesome bourbon. I think we're calling this a precious pour.
PJ, what do you think?
Row the boat, sky you mop, and go Gophers.
PJ, I couldn't agree more. Thanks, brother. It's confirmed. Precious pour.
The hard part about being the standard is you are the standard.
All right, well, next week's pour, pitcher of Vanilla Bomb dressed up as a bourbon. Smooth, sweet, and maybe just one polite away from being a Canadian whiskey in disguise. Ooh, Zeke, I have no idea what you're talking about with that, but I'm intrigued.
It could be really good or really bad.
Oh, no.
Let's just put it that way.
It's not our Fireball bourbon, is it?
Not yet.
Did you just squeeze that in?
I'm super stoked for that.
Yeah.
Fireball small batch, which is actually owned by Sazerac, which I just found out today. So,
what was the proof on it? 66?
66. That might be, we might bring our wives in for that one.
Oh, that one's going to be great. But back to Barrell Bourbon. That cherry punch hit harder than Uncle Randy at the holiday table.
And just like Uncle Randy, it's something smooth by the end. Respect the barrel, folks.
Respect.
This was an RCO Audio production.